Whose fault is it anyway? Today, we're going to go live because I think going live is more fun than going recorded, not going broke. Whose fault is it anyway when somebody goes broke in the business? Nick and I are live today as we take a moment to share these things out on all of the mediums in which you may have the chance to see us on.
Yeah.
And then we're going to discuss, maybe you're going to engage with the conversation on when somebody fails, the individual producer, whose fault really is it? We're going to maybe discuss as well a couple of the things that an agency, an IMO, or an upline should provide as a base level set of stuff. I'm going to come at it from a final expense perspective. Nick's going to come at it from a Medicare perspective. We're going to come at it from a collective perspective of over 2 decades of combined experience in the industry. So, Nick, say hi to the no one that's watching right now, and let's talk about whose fault is it anyway?
Hey there, no one. I'm not seeing this anywhere live. Where is this theoretically streaming?
So it's on my page. It's on our YouTube channel. And where else would you like me to put it?
Is it in the Insurance Life and Everything in Between group?
I'm going to share it over there since it doesn't let us directly go live in the group from StreamYard, but I will post it over there.
Group StreamYard. That's the issue. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm not getting a notification that you've gone live or anything. Now, I don't know nothing about nothing when it comes from live streaming. So this is never the only times I've ever been involved in the live stream on this podcast or when Adam was running it. So I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah. So we're now shared and posted in the live stream.
All right.
We're live and shared, if that's any kind of common sense now. So we're there. I'm going to post it in one other place as well. And maybe we'll get a few folks to engage with us about whose fault is it anyway when somebody fails and
who's to blame.
Who's to blame? But more importantly, what should an upline provide? Maybe we'll start there as we get this spread out with a few folks to see.
I'm gonna write down a couple of thoughts while we do this. I'm trying to be a slightly little bit more professional, and I'm not really succeeding because I didn't know what we were going to talk about until about 20 seconds ago. But let me scribble down a couple of notes while Chris vamps and shares some stuff.
There we go. So I was thinking, and I went live last night from my car in the dark on Insurance Life and Everything in Between, as if it was 2018 all over again. The genesis of much of the content we've ever produced was done that exact same way, live in a Facebook group in the dark from somebody's car. And I was thinking, here's what I said. Here's what I said that an upline, an agency, or an IMO should provide. Be it Medicare, be it final expense, be it mortgage protection, be it ACA, be it any of those things in our overall echo chamber. I think they should provide real-time, experience-based, scheduled, and consistent training. That's one of them. Maybe it's one call a week. Maybe it's one webinar a week. Maybe it's one thing every single day, but one predictable, consistent, scheduled opportunity for you to receive relevant training. I think that a upline should provide a transparent compensation grid so you know what you're getting paid. And if we're not even getting into the weeds about what level of comp, but you should know it. I think they should provide a balanced portfolio of competitive products that you have access to and you can sell. You should have some information about which ones they should be focused on and which ones you shouldn't, based off of their experience. I believe that they should provide access to an in-house lead program, especially for new agents that don't know how to micromanage marketing, that you can say, hey, upline, here's my credit card. Here's where I'd like to go work. Please supply me X amount of leads every single week. And we're really tackling this from a face-to-face perspective, but it doesn't deviate all that much remotely, over the phone, virtual, whatever term you choose to use. So that's several of the things I think they should supply. What do you think?
Well, okay. So there's a lot to talk about just right there. So let's start at the end. So you said lead program, balanced portfolio of products, transparent comp grid, and training. I would add in they should probably be providing tools that are unique to your situation, and more than providing the tools themselves, teaching you how to use said tools so that you have a competitive edge. That's a large part of what I think a good agency should provide for you is they should give you the competitive edge in whatever your market niche is, whether whatever that is. You should have some sort of competitive advantage over people that are just bumbling around, walking into people saying, "Hey, you want to buy some insurance?" They should be giving you something that
Mhm.
separates you, like some
Okay.
sort of separator. But let's go backwards, because I mean, anybody who knows me knows I like to talk about leads. Um, should hmm should you actually be buying your leads from your agency? I will tell you, I spent a lot of time where I would have vehemently said, you need to, as an independent agent, actually be in control of your own lead flow and not be relying um, on the people who also hold your insurance contracts to get you leads. Now, uh, does that mean that the agency shouldn't be able to get you leads? Yeah, I think it should. I think that should be an option that is available.
Mhm.
Um, I think that that is probably a good idea, that because some people just can't, right? There are people out there who just especially when they're new, it's all that they have going to like get themselves contracted and get out the front door. Um, but I don't know that I would put a good quality lead system high on my list of things that I think anybody should really care about, as long as, with a big caveat, as long as you are being taught how and
Mhm.
where to get leads. They
Fair
don't have
enough.
to come from your upline. You don't, like, I personally would prefer to never have money going directly from my checkbook into my agency's bank accounts. I would prefer to have there be separation there
Uh,
as an agent.
Personal preference.
Yeah,
But let's just
as an agent, I would like there to be, like, I think that is an area that is capable of being abused by
fair.
somebody who is unethical. And we want to assume that every agency is ethical, but the reality is, people are people and lots of them are not. And so, especially if you're new and you don't know any better, that is a place where you can keep yourself safe as an
Mhm.
agent. Um, and say, hey, I know I'm going to be getting leads that haven't been resold to other people in my agency. I'm going to be getting leads that haven't been sitting on the shelf for 6 months. I'm going to be getting leads that are actually the lead that was sent back in, and not like a blank lead card that has random information from List Shack printed on it.
Uh,
Um,
oh,
right. Um,
wait, that was a thing, I think.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it's a thing that could possibly happen, right?
Yeah.
So we want to be sure, like, that we are in control. Like, our leads are our most important resource. We want to be sure that we are the only ones who have those leads, that if we leave the upline, that they don't have access to those leads, that they can then resell them afterwards. Like, as an agent, that is a thing, that is an important thing.
I think
Um,
I
you
would
know,
slightly disagree with that one, but that's where we can create semi-engaging content that two people in a cat watch. I would think it's important to kind of narrow define terms for a little bit though, because there's a significant difference from, let's just say, a Family First Life setup, an Equus Financial, a Symmetry, an NASB, some type of an organization like that, and let's just say like a Ritter Marketing, Western Marketing, um, some type of FMO where you can place your contracts, a URL. I don't know much about those, and hopefully no one's judging me for them, but they're more of a corporate entity to get your contracts from, not necessarily a jersey, a flag, a community, a conference, like that stuff. Those are two different types of places you can contract under, but receive two totally different types of experiences. Agree or disagree?
I would agree, although I don't know that one is necessarily better than the other. Um, I don't know. Yeah, like, I don't know. So it.
So you called up.
I want to be careful about what I'm about to say,
I
about what I'm
understand.
about to say, because the reality is I don't know that you're necessarily going to have a better experience at a place that is a small, group-minded, focused, semi-captive, like, agency than you are going to have at a, Western Marketing, Ritter, Premier, URL. I don't know that you're going to necessarily have a better experience. I do know that your experience at those contract houses, FMOs, IMOs, is
LMO.
is going to be
LMO.
slightly less personal,
Fair enough.
potentially slightly less personal. Okay, let's not say more or less. It is going to be slightly impersonal, right? You may have contacts there that you can potentially develop a relationship with, but there's a lot of churn in those offices. Sometimes, I know there's one of the large FMOs in particular that I was pointed to when I first went independent. Every time I would call, there was a new head of senior marketing. Like and I was brand new. I was calling like every 2 to 3 weeks. And so
Yeah.
like I was like, "Hey, I have a question about United Healthcare." Great. This is Cindy, the head of senior marketing. And I'd like email back Cindy and I'd be like, "Hey Cindy, I got another question real quick." And they're like, "Oh, sorry, Cindy doesn't work here anymore. This is Stephanie." And I was like,
Hi,
"Oh, okay.
Stephanie.
Hey Stephanie, this is my question." She's like, "Here's your answer." And then like 3 weeks later, I'd be like, "Okay, hey Stephanie, I got another question." And she'd be like, "Oh, actually Adam takes care of that department now." And it's like, "What the hell?"
Who's
Like,
Adam?
right.
Yeah.
Where is
Hi,
this all?
Adam.
And this happened consistently.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was very frustrating
Mm-hmm.
as a new agent. And that is the type of thing that it is going to happen somewhat at some of these very big places. And some of these big, I mean, AmeriLife, uh, Ethos, like these are big places, and some of these things are going to happen. Now, some of them have things put in place where you've got sub agents and sub agencies that work in, and like Ethos has sub agencies. Integrity has 20,000 sub agencies. FFL has 20,000 sub agencies that are all under Integrity. Like there's a whole lot of layers down that you can be looking at these things.
But like, say
But
for example, an agent failed because they reached out, and you're the 1% of the industry. Let's be honest. Like most people just
I
probably
believe it's
lacked the.
8%. I
Okay.
think 8%
Okay.
is the flag that flies there.
Yeah.
But
There's a certain subsection of individuals who probably were never cut out to be entrepreneurs, small business owners, self-employed,
yeah,
unsupervised, all the things that are necessary character traits of surviving your first 12 to 24 months. And if they stumble upon an impersonal corporate-based FMO, they pick up a street-level contract with any final expense or carrier, Medicare carrier. They're directed to a lead platform and said, "Hey, here's a great vendor to buy your leads." Really, they're not going to make it because maybe they were the kind of people that needed hand holding and a personal touch and a daily this and a weekly that and a ride along this they just weren't the wrong fit for that situation.
yes.
So it's I would
And
believe.
this is where it comes down to, I think agents need to know who they are a little bit. Like and that's the hardest part, right?
Mhm.
If you're watching this and like it seems like nobody is. So we're just talking to ourselves. But like if you're watching this and you are looking for a new home, you need to know yourself and what you need, right? And then you need to talk to a lot of people. You need to treat it like you're dating, you're looking to hire an employee. You need to treat it like you have to talk to a lot of people. Don't just say yes to the first person that proposes. Um, Go on a couple of dates. Like talk to some folks. Figure out what it's actually going to be like to work with them. Like
Get out in the car with them.
yeah, if that's the thing that you need, do it. Like, they will help. Like, they want your business. They want you more than you want them.
Exactly.
Universally true. Universally true. The only time that's not true is if you're looking for a W-2 position.
That's different.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a different, right?
So we kind of narrowed, or we've specified the different entities you should do your homework on, which you choose to work with. You're not hired by them unless you're a W-2. Let's throw that term out the freaking window. Nick actually hired and trained an employee today. Right. That's different. By signing an independent contracting agreement with a particular carrier, or someone contracted underneath you, you didn't hire anybody. That's actually an illegal term to use. But when an agent is receiving all the base level resources necessary, whose fault is it if it doesn't work out?
Sometimes nobody's. Sometimes nobody's. Like, sometimes stuff just doesn't work. And that's a thing that everybody needs to be okay with. Like, not everything works for everybody. This job in particular is not for everybody. It is not for most people. Final expense sales is not for most people who are able to do sales, right? Sales is not for most people out in the world who are willing to deal with the general public. And dealing with the general public is not for most people.
No.
Right? So it's like a subset of a subset of a subset. And Medicare is its own whole other thing. And while, yes, it is, I think, especially in today's day and age, vitally important that you are able to both handle final expense and Medicare sales, or other types of life insurance. And that eventually, as a well-rounded agent, you can do multiple things. And I think that's going to be really important over the course of the next 4 or 5 years, as things change, and demographics shift. It's not for everybody. And if it's not for you, there's actually nothing wrong with that. And that is, I would say, the first thing that everybody should acknowledge. And the people that have the hardest time acknowledging this are actually not the agents. It's actually the people who are in charge of training, because they take it on the chin when an agent fails. And a lot of times that agent was just never going to be able to make it. Like, this is just not a good fit. And and maybe it was just not a good fit with that trainer. That's possible. Personality mismatch, that happens. Not all teachers are good at teaching all students, although good teachers are good at teaching most people. But some people just will never be able to succeed in this, not in everything.
But the crazy part about this industry is because there's no like production requirements per se. There's no legal expectations. There's no like quantifiable definition of success and failure. You could really tragically underperform a great portion of your career. And then when you don't feel like this is a fit, you go to the next place and you go to the next place and you go to the next place. Speaking as a personal producer, not at the agency or the FMO level, just one lone agent jumping from one place to the next, when the whole time there was something wrong in what they were doing that led them into that position. Like you were saying, maybe they're just not a good fit for the entrepreneurial journey, and they'd be a great fit as an employee somewhere, but they just love the fact they have their own time freedom. They would never have a job. They would never take a job because they're getting by enough to pay their rent, final expense.
Right. Well, and so like I can talk about one of my Medicare agents who I got a lot of recordings from, and has decided to go work in a different venue. And I would work through the recordings with him on what he was doing and what he was doing wrong, and like opportunities that he was missing and stuff that he wasn't picking up on. And then I would listen to the next recording, and it was like we had never done the training before. And then we would be doing all the same things again. And we'd go through it again, and he would say, "Oh no, this isn't typical. This isn't how things usually go. There's this, that, and the other reason why I didn't do it the way that you said that I should be doing it." And then he'd send me in another recording, and it would be all the same things all over again. And we did this for 6 months, like going over stuff once a week and just being like, "Hey man, like this is the reason why this is not working for you. You're missing sales. Like this is a person that you should have closed. This is how you would have closed them." And he was like, he's like, "Well, yeah, but I mean, that's, you say that's you." And I'm like, "Okay, let's role play it. You be the client, I'll be you. Let's figure it out." And he's like, "Well, it never goes that way for me." And I'm like, "But you're the client, man. You make it go the way that it goes for you." And he like, and he was, and like, but when he would go out to do it on his own, he would be doing it his way instead of the way that I told him to do it. And, you know, and now he's doing something entirely not involved in sales at all anymore. You know, and good, probably happier.
Well,
right?
yeah, that
probably happier.
That kind of speaks to the point Dana said something about. She used the same example I would use about you're setting somebody up for a franchise model of the business. Like, here's how to run a Chick-fil-A. Go run it. This is the correct way to run a Chick-fil-A. I've used that recruiting pitch probably 1,000 times. I agree with that pitch. But then the agent is handed their Chick-fil-A. Their general manager guide is how to run the Chick-fil-A. They're, helps to upload, the corporate flies in and gets them the staff and gets them off the ground. And then they don't run it correctly. That isn't corporate's fault. Well, no. I'm not gonna open today. I just don't feel like it. I'm not in a mood to go run a fast casual restaurant. We're not opening today.
Right.
That's not corporate's fault.
That's not how
that
works.
The brand's fault.
Right.
Or these waffle fries taste good, but what if they were banana fries?
Right.
And then someone drives through the Chick-fil-A and has banana fries. They're like, F this. This isn't what Chick-fil-A is. And people stop coming to that franchise location. And I see agents do that all the time too. They buck the system they signed up to work under and then blame the system when it didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it is. The sad reality is that because there is very little to no barrier to entry. I mean, like, you have to get licensed.
Yeah.
You do. You have to spend a little bit of money on maybe some appointment fees, maybe some licensing fees, maybe some continuing education fees. But like, it's not hard to become an insurance agent, right? And because there is that low barrier to entry, I feel like the attitude of the people that come into the insurance business are not coming into it with the attitude that they are starting a franchise of a business. Because you know what? Businesses cost tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to open.
Yeah. Big barrier entry.
Right? Like go try to open up a McDonald's franchise. I dare you.
Yeah.
Like, good luck.
And then make $60,000 a year as the franchise owner for years.
Right. Like,
yeah,
like good luck managing to secure a McDonald's franchise.
Yeah.
Right?
I talked to a State Farm franchise owner, I guess. And even then, they're still 1099.
Oh, yeah.
They have a massive barrier to entry.
Yeah.
Brand support, office staff, and all the fun stuff that comes with wearing a red polo. But at the core, they're still 1099.
They're still 1099. And you have to, and the barrier to entry, it costs a tremendous amount of money to open up a State Farm franchise. And the failure rate is super, super high.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at least if you manage to get yourself a McDonald's franchise, it's going to be successul. Like, I mean, no question. You will make money off that eventually.
If you guys are watching, we do have 3 people watching now, maybe more. Whose fault is it when somebody fails? Whose fault? I'm writing it down right now. Fault is it, and putting it in the banner section so you guys can engage in the question. Whose fault is it if somebody fails? You had an interesting point there with skin in the game. Dave Duford recently decided that on his free lead model that you have to pay $1,000 to join his agency. But I would agree, because there's no actual financial skin in the game and getting on free leads. You need to have some Ben Bowman filter, as he would call it, are skin in the game before you get in the game. I mean, what are your thoughts on Dave charging $1,000 to get in his game?
I love you, Dave. Like genuinely, I think you're really genuinely one of the good people in the industry. I don't agree with this because the people that he's putting in place are not independent street level agents. He's setting up LOAs. And I think that is a very, very different thing. I think if you're setting up LOAs, you should be treating them like employees. And that is the only fair and ethical way to have LOAs is to have LOAs that are actually employees. I get where he's coming from, and I know why he's doing it, and I completely understand the logic behind it. And I don't think this makes him a bad guy, but this is not how I would ever do things.
But you know what's interesting too? When people open an actual franchise, they also have to have capital to do so. And that's just another thing. There's no skin in the game to get in the game in this business. Not only do you not have to have it's
absolutely, but the difference there is they're not opening a franchise. They're showing up to be the cashier at Chick-fil-A.
Fair enough.
And you don't have to pay to get a job as a cashier.
Fair enough. I got another one for you. I had a text from an agent come in that I'm more than happy to release to the entity if they reciprocate all the risk that comes in accepting. And they said to me, after years in the business, I'm starting to get things rolling, and
I lost you there. Oh, I lost you there.
The agent said,
"Trying to get things rolling."
I'm starting to get things rolling. Like they've been in the business for years, mind you. Please, I'm happy to release them to where they want to go. But for God's sake, this isn't my fault or the next person's fault, the person's fault before that.
Yeah.
Why are we still continuing to try to? It's the getting ready to get ready thing. I had a comment come in. I did a toolkit demo today, and somebody said, I'm afraid to get started because I don't know what carrier to pick.
That's odd. That's odd.
Well, it's overwhelming to many people because then they suffer from failure to launch or getting ready to get ready, or 3 years later starting to get things rolling, and just nothing ever happens. Ron Powell texted me last night and said, if you ever really want to win, then this is directed directly at me, you should cancel all of your contracts and pick one carrier to dominate.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to tell you, if you are watching this, secret for all the 5 people who are watching.
We got 10 now. I said enough controversial shit. We got 10 people now.
It doesn't matter which carrier you pick.
No.
There is a reason why Lincoln Heritage and Primerica sell so many policies.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we all know that those policies are crazy overpriced. Doesn't matter. People will buy them anyway because they are buying the person who sells it to them.
Correct.
And the person who sells them to them believes in that policy. They will buy it. Is it a good thing for the consumer? No, you should probably get the best thing for the consumer. That would be ideal. But it really does not affect your chances of success. The company that you pick, throw a dart, pick one. You can always change it later.
You could.
Nothing says you have to stick with the company that you picked. Pick one, ride with it for 3 months. If you hate it, pick a different one.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let not knowing what company to pick stop you. Holy cow, that is the worst reason to not get going.
I had another interesting text come in late last night after I'd put my phone down for the night. And a person thought that the post you had made in Insurance Life and everything in between was intentionally defamatory, and they were making fun of me. I feel like we can't just have of me. You were making fun of me, Nick.
What? No, I'm not making fun of you at all. Oh, that person does not know me.
No, or the fact that we've done content.
I'm a moderator in that forum, for God's sake. Come on, guys.
No, just to be clear, he was not making fun of me. And even if he was, it's in good fun anyway, which he wasn't. But sometimes I took a jab at James Brennis and Jig recently over something. Let's all have a little bit of fun because they were both sliding into other agents of mine's DMs over combined. I'm like, we're all in the same game. We're all having fun together. I get it. But people take shit too seriously online sometimes too.
Oh, Yeah, no, I mean my post. I was very pleased with that post, by the way.
I like, was it a rat?
It was a lemming. It
A lemon.
was a lemming.
A lemon.
Um, so like the it was just making fun of the way that people flock to whatever the new thing is. Like regardless of what the new thing is, they don't care. It doesn't matter. It's
ACA,
new. It's because
LOA.
it's new.
Yeah.
It, it
AOR.
yeah, it's because it's new. That's
Yeah.
the thing that people
It
are.
was
That's
exciting.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
But you weren't making fun of it.
no.
Fair enough.
It's not any one thing in particular. It's just there happens to be a new product out right now, and the same thing is happening over and over again. It's just happening again.
Might actually be pretty cool though, because I remember how cool it was to have like a good functional as a mid-level builder carrier like Prosperity, where you could send it to the agent and see if they're actually going to fill out their contracting, because that's probably half the battle from the first place. And then they fill it out and they receive a writing number, assuming they've got a relatively clean background. And then that moment they could go produce insurance.
Yeah.
And then the very next day or the business day after that receive money for doing their job.
Absolutely.
And if an agent on a product with an age 0 to 80 age band, from preferred all the way down to modified, run with it. Can you actually do this? And then that shows the mid-level builder, hey, Nick's going to go out there and not be a lemming. And now he's actually doing something. Now I can kind of throw more things at him and help him kind of fine-tune his approach. At the functional level, that product does things that not many others do right now.
Absolutely. I think it is good that new products are coming to market, even if they're products that I don't personally like. I think it is nothing but good that new products are coming to market, and I think it is nothing but good that agents are going to try new things. I think that is good. I do think it is a little silly. I think the way that people respond to new things is a little silly. They're treating it like it's a new toy, and it's that's not what it is. That's not what it is. It's a financial product that you're going to be offering to people to buy. You should maybe know something about it before you buy it, before you offer to sell it.
Well, I got another one.
Whatever. Like, it's cool.
I got another one. There's another new product that's come to market that I think epitomizes over niching and why there's so much wrong with our space in the eyes of like so many things. Illinois Mutual from Illinois, going to get contracted simply to sell the product from Illinois. That's my choice. But is it wise as an individual producer, and you have a great producer perspective, is it wise as a manager or mid-level hierarchy position to simply pick up a carrier contract to sell healthy smokers in a certain age, and that's like it?
I mean,
I don't think it's good.
Well, and also like, okay, so like, guys, I know what the deal with Illinois Mutual is. I know a lot of people who write Illinois Mutual. Most of you probably don't want to write Illinois Mutual, even for healthy smokers. It's not instant decision. It's reasonably fast decision, but it's not instant decision. It is extraordinarily strict underwriting, like extraordinarily strict underwriting. And it is only priced well for people who are smokers who are over 60. So somebody who is a smoker who is over 60 is going to have a difficult time passing their extraordinarily strict underwriting, because you know what people who are over 60 who are smokers are not? Extraordinarily healthy. And you have to be extraordinarily healthy.
Yeah, don't say. But I feel like
it's extraordinary. It's a really niche product. You're not wrong. It's very niche. It's not a bad product to have. It's a useful product to have for the right agent who knows what they're doing, who has other tools in their toolbox already, and needs a very specific tool. And like, I absolutely know why people would want to pick it up. It is a good thing to have. I am not saying anything against them. It is, but it is a very specific tool for a very specific purpose. And is for agents who already know what they're doing so that they can use that tool correctly, or captive Illinois Mutual agents who don't have any other choices.
There you go. I had a conversation with an underwriter at a carrier regionally that we're building a relationship with, that I think once it's on iCover, I'm going to get you on it. But they're double, massive, triple, quadruple, sick high renewals. And I was saying to the underwriter, because I was exploring and learning their product and some of the unusual niches that they have, like kidney transplant would be modified, but other transplant organs would be declined. That's unique. Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I said, luckily, this product is sort of regionalized and semi-siloed, that normal brokers would not abuse it, because they'd be like, man, you got to put all your kidney transplants right here. And the product is not built to accept all kidney transplant recipients in America.
Right. I mean, that's what happened. That's what took down Grange Life, right? Was they accepted kidney transplants.
It's an affiliate. I mean, they're in the same.
Yeah.
That I think they own Grange, or Grange was.
They might. Yeah. I think it's all part of the same. Yeah. Grange is PNC only now, and I think they spun off their life to Kansas City Life, which is, I think, the parent company of the company you're talking about. I think
maybe.
I assume. Maybe. I'm making some guesses. I don't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, weird, wild stuff happening out in the world. But it's good that there's new products coming out. I think it's good that there's new products coming out. I wish that there was more new stuff happening on the Medicare front. Like, people are on the Medicare front, mostly Medicare agents are trying to prepare themselves to go sell final expense, and that is good. I'll be very interested to see how that happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens there. There are going to be some who are very good at it. But most Medicare agents are very geared towards flipping Medicare Advantage plans to other Medicare Advantage plans. And if that's all you've ever done, you might have a difficult time in the final expense space. Because final expense is a product that needs to be sold.
Not enrolled.
Yeah, moving somebody from a DSNP plan that has $100 food give back, that has a $100 food card, to a DSNP plan that has a $325 food card. Not a lot of sales needs to happen there.
Show up. Have a pulse.
Yeah.
But
so we'll see. I'm curious. There's tons of market to go around. I'm not particularly oh no, but I do sort of hate that a lot of them seem to want to do it by phone. Man, I want people to get off the freaking phones. I'm tired of sitting in clients' houses and having their phones ring the entire time.
Oh my gosh.
It's just from a purely selfish perspective. I would just like their phones to not be ringing while I'm trying to talk to them.
You should see the spreadsheet from my appointment setting team of VM, because their phones have been blown up so extraordinarily. At what point are they going to pick them up? It's just, I wish that one-to-one consent rule would have passed, so the phone would stop ringing during the presentation.
Yeah, me too. But oh well, the call centers are more powerful than you and I.
Yeah, but let's wrap up talking the topic that I had wanted to get to, but I was still more passionate about. Whose fault is it? We're done with that. Post OEP with essentially no SCPs, is the business really over? At the end of this month, open enrollment will have been concluded. The for my rudimentary understanding, the dual once a quarter flippity floppity flip shit's over. The disaster SCP is gone. I mean, that's their fault. Everything was a disaster for 2 years straight. That doesn't make any sense. But for all effective purposes, the easy way we've been writing MA isn't easy anymore. So what do we do post OEP?
So, one, I just want to put this out there. This is terrible for consumers. Lock-in periods are really bad for consumers. There's a reason why, particularly people who were getting extra help and on Medicaid, had the ability to change once a quarter, and prior had the ability to change once a month. It's because there is absolutely nothing preventing doctors from leaving networks in the middle of the year, and nothing that stops you from having to start taking entire hospital systems going out of business, or and you having to start taking new medications that you weren't taking previously. There's nothing that stops these things from happening. And if somebody gets prescribed Eliquis on June 1st and their current Medicare plan doesn't cover Eliquis and they have to pay that entirely out of pocket, and they're somebody who's so low income that they're getting Medicaid or extra help anyway, they're screwed. Like they're just going to die. Like, I don't know what they're going to do. Yeah. I mean, like, so it is bad for consumers across the board. It is anti-consumer. In an attempt to punish agents, they are doing something wildly anti-consumer. And if you are going to talk to any of your senators or congresspeople about this, that is the exact line of attack that you need to take. That this is viciously anti-consumer. That being said, it's not going to make things that much different for us. Like, I mean, if you're an on the ground face-to-face insurance agent, man, like you're going to be fine. Develop your relationship with people, collect your scopes of appointments, go back at the appropriate time. Once you've collected the scope of appointment, like your day-to-day is not changing. Maybe you go back later on. Maybe it changes some of the timing of when you go back. But, you know, if you're working a reasonably normal sized area, you can plan when you're going to be back in that area and come back with your scope of appointment, knock on their door and like take care of stuff.
But it isn't going to be as easy to pick a special election period.
And no, it's not. You're not going to have the special. So what? Like, you have a relationship with these people. Just go back before the next person can get back in when things open up. I don't know. Develop the relationship, get the scope of appointment, and like just go back and see them at the right time.
Fair enough.
Who cares?
Who can
it's not like you're a phone agent where you have to try and get them back on the phone again.
Maybe,
right?
Yeah.
You've got your scope, you've got your permission to contact. They know you're going to come back. Just go back. Not a big deal. Have a great AEP. You know, your business will slow down. Maybe the amount of enrollments that you're writing will slow down. Maybe you spend more time focusing on turning 65. Maybe you start doing some seminars. Maybe you start dropping some turning 65 leads. Maybe you focus. Maybe you do focus on selling final expense. Maybe there's lots of things that you can do. You are a good professional in-person Medicare agent, and your goal is still going to be get a scope of appointment with permission to contact so that you can see them again when you need to see them again, and then just go back.
Maybe
not a big deal.
Maybe what you wrote will just stick better.
Right. Like, it's just not that big a deal if you're face-to-face. It changes some of your timing, maybe, but the SEPs exist also. You know, the state pharmaceutical assistance programs still exist. People change in status still exists. And by 2026, most states are going to have integrated dual plans, and then it's going to be back to the Wild West of people flipping their plan once a month anyway. So, like, it's going to be fine. Like, make it through this year. Do what you need to do. Collect your scopes of appointments. Go about your business. If you are working by phone, I'm sorry, you're probably screwed. Like, I don't know kinder way to say that. Go find something else to do. It's going to be very hard to do this by phone from April to September. Not impossible, but it's going to get a lot harder to do this by phone. Unless you are, again, working the turning 65 market, working other lines of business, working other things, and not relying on flipping Medicare Advantage dual eligible people from one food card to another.
There we go. We had it for you. Whose fault is it? What expectations should you have? How should you decide who you do business with?
Did we come out with an answer to whose fault is it? Is it yours, Chris? I think it's yours.
That's
specifically you.
It's specifically my fault. That's
for
good.
Every person who's failed out of this business, it is Chris Smith's fault. Maybe not this Chris Smith. Some Chris Smith somewhere.
Senator Chris Smith from the state of New Jersey. Could be his fault. Could be his fault. Could be Chris Smith from Nevada who sells Medicare that I met at Medicare Con once. It could be his fault.
He's a good guy, but it might be his fault.
It could collectively be all the Chris Smith's fault that you failed in final expense.
Yeah, rough.
Sorry. All right. We'll see you next week. Maybe as you don't fail because you just showed up and found people that knew they were going to die, needed final expense. You collected the scope and you saw them again during AEP.